What is up guys, TopTierYugioh here, and today I've got a Zoodiac deck profile for you guys, but as you can probably tell, this is not your average pure Zoodiac deck. This build focuses on going first and making boards that your opponent cannot break with cards like Drident plus Dragoon, backed up with hand traps, or even just a card like Megaclops, which a lot of decks just don't have answers for. But then going second, we also have the ability to pick apart our opponent's boards with combos that end on Megaclops plus Dragoon, which gets rid of 3 of your opponent's monsters and ends with 2 near indestructible monsters of our own. And so when this deck is able to play, it's able to win, and so I cannot wait to show you guys this Zoodiac deck profile. Now, I do want to respect your time, and so I'm going to be concise and keep this video relatively short, but if you guys would like to see a combo video or test hands, be sure to like this video, and when it gets to 100 likes, I'll show you guys the combos and test hands. Drident plus Dragoon is a simple 2-card combo, and then Megaclops plus Dragoon is only a 3-card combo, and we play multiples of all of the cards, and so these combos are very consistent, easy, and they're going to win you a lot of games, and so be sure to like this video. And then you're going to want to subscribe as well so that you will be notified when these videos are going to be uploaded. But let's go ahead and get into the profile. Alright, and so starting with the monsters and monster equivalents, we have 1 copy of Zoodiac Rat here, 3 copies of Ram, which allows us to play around Imperm and is the main card responsible for a lot of our combos. 3 copies of Whiptail, 1 Bunny Blast, which is great for recycle plays, and then finally 3 Thoroughblade, which makes playing all of these other Zoodiac monsters possible, because if we have multiples, Thoroughblade makes it kind of okay and allows us to dig further into our deck to draw into our extenders and other more powerful cards. For added consistency, we also have 3 copies of Tinky, and then the 1-of copy of Barrage. And then finally, to round out the Zoodiac Engine, we have 3 copies of Zoodiac Combo. And spoiler alert, I'm not playing Pot of Avarice in this deck, but I decided to go with Combo instead because I felt that in this current format, Avarice is just almost never going to resolve, and even if it does, it's just way too slow in most meta matchups. So like, if you're going first, there's just no way to resolve it. Like, you're not getting 5 monsters in grave unless you go super wombo combo, but your opponent probably has a hand trap. Going second, if you're playing against most meta decks, it's just not going to happen either, because if you're playing against dragons, you're going to be locked out of the extra deck, so it's going to be hard to put those monsters in the graveyard. If you're playing against Infernoble Knights, Charles is going to pop your Zoo monster on summon. Eldritch, Conquistador, pop your Zoodiac on summon. If you're playing against Dogma Invoked, Punishment, pop your monster on summon. Or even against Dinos, they might have like a VFD or even just an Ultimate Conductor Tyranno to flip your monster on summon. It's going to be very difficult to get 5 monsters in the graveyard, so Avarice just does not come up. It's just too slow in those matchups. But even though Combo is a trap card, which is seemingly even slower, it synergizes very well with the engine because we can discard it for Thoroughblade, we can dump it with Rat, or it just works with the engine with the on-field effect by letting us add material under cards like Drident when we need to play around Nib or still end with Drident plus Hammer Congo on turn 2 or 3, or when we're trying to revive Drident with Vespinato or Shakanine and can't use Tiger Mortar. There are a lot of times when Combo comes up, and it truly comes up a lot more than Avarice, and is a key part of certain combos, as well as being integral in our ability to grind and play the long game. And so I definitely have enjoyed playing Combo over Avarice right now. But that is pretty much it for the Zoodiac Engine, as well as for like the monsters. Like, we still have other monsters, but they don't, you know, serve monster roles. For example, we have hand traps, and so starting with those, we have 3 copies of Nib, 3 copies of Ash, 3 copies of Imperm, and then 2 copies of Effect Veiler. And so I chose this hand trap lineup because I felt that they were the best hand traps to back up a Drident with, which is why you won't see Gamma here. And while Gamma is amazing, you can't use it with a Drident, and that's a big problem, because if I, have to play through hand traps and can only end on a Drident plus a hand trap, I don't want that hand trap being Gamma, because Gamma's not going to do anything, and then your opponent breaks your board, and you're too far behind to come back now. And so I really felt that I needed hand traps that could work with my ending boards, not ones that work in spite of it or instead of it. And so that's why I didn't like Gamma in the main deck. I also think that with the ban list, Nib's going to see a lot more play. I think it's a lot better now, because really only Dragon Link can play around it to the same extent that they used to. Because Eldritch used to have O-Line to play through it. Infernoble Knights, while they still have all of their tools, they're a little less consistent now, so they can't play through it as easily as they used to. Adamantimators are gone. They were the main culprit because they had, Guardian. That was a big deal, plus summoning Herald. So these decks can't play around Nib as easily as they used to, so I really do think that Nib is worth main decking again. Or even if you don't main deck it, it's at least good in the side. But I thought it was good in the main deck here, so that is why we were playing Nib. But otherwise, I've really been enjoying this hand trap lineup. And now I will say we are only playing 11 hand traps, which isn't necessarily a lot because there are certain decks that can play anywhere from like 12 to 15 or 16 hand traps, but we have some other cards that I felt were even better than other hand traps, and other cards that allow us to play in different ways. Starting with 3 copies of Forbidden Droplets, and this allows us to really go second better than any other card in the game in my opinion. I felt that even though we're not playing as many hand traps, Droplets is better than most hand traps in most situations. Like if you have a single hand trap, most combo decks can play through it and then still end on their main board. But even if your opponent ends on their main board, if you have a Droplets, maybe you can play through it. Like if your opponent's just ending on Savage Dragon plus Herald, you can out that with Droplets and then start doing your Zoodiac stuff. Whereas if you only had that one hand trap, maybe they just play through it anyways. And so we do still have the hand traps, but I do also like having Droplets as well. And again, it really just allows you to go second. And since we're so dependent on the normal summon, negating things that disrupt those normal summons like Charles against Infernoble Knights, or even like Borload Dragon, stuff like that, is just so important so that we're going to be able to play. And again, when we're able to play, we're able to actually win. And the other thing I like about this card is that we can use it defensively as well. Like we can go first and end on just a Drident. Like maybe we had to play through a hand trap, all we could get through was Drident. But we could also use Droplets as another form of defense, and so we could pop something with Drident and then send off the Drident with Droplets effect to negate something else. And so we can really get multiple disruptions out of that, and I really enjoy that about this card. It also does half your opponent's monster's attacks as well, and so there are times where you half a monster's attack, beat over it with Thoroughblade, then make a Drident pop another monster. There's just a ton of things you can do with Droplets. It also sets up your Shaka 9 as well, so big fan of Forbidden Droplets in this deck. Huge fan. And then the other tech card I like is Cosmic Cyclone. So we're playing 2 copies of Cosmic Cyclone, which I kind of want to bump up to 3 because it's just so good in every single relevant matchup. It's like it's good against Dragoons, it's good against Infernoble Knights, Eldritch, Invoked, Dogma, Dinos. It's literally good in every single meta matchup. So this should probably be at 3 actually. Yeah, I think I'm going to bump this up to 3, but I have really been enjoying Cosmic Cyclone. It's an absolutely incredible card right now, and I think it's one of the best tech cards that you can have in your main deck. And I think it has to be in your main or side at least, in like every single deck. It's just that good. But these are just your tech cards. They only have like a marginal impact on winning. But what's really going to have a huge impact on whether or not you win games is these cards. We have 1 copy of Dark Magician, 1 Red-Eyes Black Dragon, and then 1 Red-Eyes Fusion. And so these cards work beautifully in Zoodiac because Zoo has historically had issues with big monsters, both summoning them and getting rid of them, and this solves both of those problems. This small Red-Eyes package allows you to summon Red-Eyes Dragoon, which is absolutely incredible, and this deck is really able to take advantage of its power. But you guys already know about Dragoon, so I'm not gonna, spend too much time talking about it. But let's just go on and move to the next card, which is what makes Dragoon possible, or it's still possible without this next card, but it's what makes Dragoon plausible in this deck. And that is 3 copies of Time Thief Winder. And once again, this is the card that makes Dragoon plausible in this deck. And sure, we have multiple other ways of making Dragoon. This is the one card that turns any of your other Zoodiac monsters into Drident plus Dragoon, which is absolutely incredible. But that isn't all this card can be used for. It also can help set up Megaclops plays, rank 4 plays, link plays, and it's just a generally good extender that synergizes well with the Zoodiac Engine because we can easily just make a Zoodiac Xyz monster, detach for Winder's effect to summon itself, and then that's going to set up other things such as Shaka 9's effect and a billion other cards. And so Time Thief Winder is a very, very welcome addition to Zoodiac decks. But that is going to wrap up the main deck. It's 40 cards. Let's go ahead and move on to the extra deck. For the extra deck, we're going to start with Best Girl Drident, 2 copies of Tiger Mortar, 2 copies of Shaka 9, Best Boy Borbo, and then Harambe. So we have a pretty small Zoodiac Engine in this deck, but because we're able to build such big boards of, Dragoons, Megaclops, stuff like that, we really don't need to grind as frequently as we used to, and if we do need to, we do have the combos, and again, we do always have Shaka 9 Tiger Mortar, and then we also have a card like Vespinato to bring things back, combo to put material under them so that we can reuse their effects over and over again. And Vespinato also has, the ability to just be big. It's 2500 pierces, just a great card overall, so I have really been enjoying that. And then to round out the rest of the Xyz monsters, we have one copy of Tornado Dragon, which is something I haven't seen in Zoodiac decks for a long time, but similar to Cosmic Cyclone, it's great versus all the meta decks. You have so many different amazing targets, and so I do like it a lot, and it's easy to summon with Winder once again, and so there's so many things that we get out of our Time Thief Winder. But that is going to wrap up the Xyz monsters. For the Link monsters, we have one copy of Crystron Halkifi Brax, Celine, and Axis Coat Talker. Of course, the one copy of Megaclops. And then finally, the one copy of Predaplant Verte Anaconda, which allows us to summon the one copy of Red-Eyes Dark Dragoon, which is one of the best cards in the deck and one of the main focal points of this deck because of its insane ability to just negate your opponent's card effects, boost itself up to 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 attack depending on how long it's on board. Can't be targeted or destroyed. It's just a huge boss monster, and the fact that we have both it and Megaclops is something that's really unique to the Zoodiac deck. Even other Dragoon decks kind of only have Dragoon and then, you know, whatever else their engine does, but most other engines don't have the ability to pump out something like a Megaclops. So we really have these two big towers like monsters that are very difficult to deal with, and when you get both out, which this deck can do, you usually are going to be winning the game. And so this has been a very good side deck or extra deck for me. But speaking of side decks, let's go ahead and move on to that. So moving on to the side deck, let's start with 3 copies of Gamma and then Driver. I think Gamma is just the best going second card right now. It's easily the best hand trap. It's the most difficult for decks to play through and around, and so I do really enjoy having Gamma in this deck. But once again, it's not in the main because it doesn't work very well going first, and so we really need to have multiple disruptions with our Drident. Gamma is not that. And so Gamma is just not good at going first, and so I don't like it in this deck at all going first, but great going second. So here it is in the side. And then also for going second, we have 3 copies of Dark Ruler No More, and when combined with Forbidden Droplets, we have 6 cards that can just negate entire boards. And so when we have either of these plus like a rat, it's just game. Like, negate their whole board, make a Megaclops clear their board, or make a Dragoon clear their board, or both of them where you super clear their board, and you just win from there. Like Dark Ruler or Droplets plus rat plus Time Thief is game, or even just Rat's game usually, but incredible cards for just negating your opponent's board. And then also going second, we have 3 copies of Evenly Match, which is great going against back row decks or control decks, as well as against most of the meta combo decks right now, like even against the board of like Borload Savage Dragon, plus Herald and maybe some other stuff. Evenly Match is amazing. It's one of the few cards that by itself, if it resolves, can deal with a Buster Lock, and so it's great in that matchup as well. We also have the 3rd Cosmic Cyclone for going second against back row decks to help deal with, you know, whatever their back row could be, or even decks like Outlich or Invoked, or other decks that, even if they're not like, you know, quote unquote a back row deck, decks that have searchable back row as defense or disruption, this is great against. And so I definitely love the 3rd Cosmic Cyclone as well. And like I mentioned when we talked about the earlier copies, it's great in really every matchup. It's just an incredible card overall, so versatile, has so many different roles that it can play. I absolutely believe 3 should be somewhere in your list. And then finally, to wrap up the side deck, we're playing 3 copies of Artifact Sanctum and then 1 copy of Artifact Scythe. And I went with the Artifact Engine because I really wanted something else going first to still be able to stop opponents when they're already siding for big combo, and so they're already going to be playing their own copies of Dark Ruler or Droplets and other things to negate big boards. And so I don't want to completely depend on our ability to combo and make our boards because I know people are siding against them as well. And so I felt that this was something that we could toss in that allows us to still have another way to ensure that we can slow our opponents down and then follow up with the game on the next turn. And so even if they Dark Ruler the board, we can still play our Sanctum, summon Scythe, keep them out of the extra deck, and then still have whatever we had on turn 1, on turn 2, and then, beat their shit in from there. And so I do really like the Artifact Engine. I feel like it's something people don't expect out of Zoodiacs. And then even if we draw the Scythe, we can also summon Tornado Dragon to deal with it and still, lock them out of their turn. So I'm a big fan of the Artifact Engine in Zoodiacs. But alright guys, that's pretty much it for this Dragoon Zoodiac deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys do want to see the combos or test hands, again, like this video because when it does get to 100 likes, I'm going to upload a combo and test hand video. So you definitely want to do that, as well as subscribe to the channel so that when that video is uploaded, it's going to hit your subscription feed. You're going to know exactly what to watch. But also, I'm going to be posting a Sky Striker deck profile for the new format tomorrow, and so be sure to subscribe for that as well. And now if you just want to see the entire deck list for either of those at once, or you just want to see everything all together without watching this entire video again, feel free to check out my Instagram once again because both of those lists will be on my IG profile at TopTierYugioh YT. That's Instagram TopTierYugioh YT. And yes, the YT stands for YouTube because someone already took Top Tier Yu-Gi-Oh, which, come on. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, tips, tricks, suggestions, or anything, just leave a comment down below. I try to get to them all as soon as possible, at least within a day. And if you would like to reach me even faster, feel free to just message me on Facebook or Instagram. Links are down in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good weekend.